Exposed, how a CEO's blind date led to an incredible, heartwarming love story with a poor girl. David's vision was like the Chicago skyline, bold, ambitious, and reaching for the stars. At 32, he declawed his way to the top, running a thriving tech startup. But he wasn't soaring. Behind the polished facade, loneliness lingered like shadows in his lavish office. The pressure from his mother's relentless matchmaking loomed over him. Each string of disastrous blind dates drew attention to a reality he tried to bury. His heart felt like an island in an ocean of expectations. Then, on a sunlit afternoon, after too many awkward conversations with women who only saw his status, came Emily. A 25-year-old waitress with laughter that bubbled like fresh brewed coffee. All David wanted was a moment of peace, yet there she was, an unexpected whirlwind who turned the diner into a stage set for change. The pint-sized diner was filled with the rich aroma of homemade pies, and as he took a seat, he couldn't help but feel charmed by her warm smile. "Hey, you're early," she said, a playful spark in her eyes. For a heartbeat, he forgot about his high-rise life and just felt alive. Her passion for her work resonated. She juggled shifts to support her ailing father, an injured veteran. David saw resilience in her, a flash of determination, and found himself drawn to it. Their conversation danced from light-hearted anecdotes about her crazy customers to deeper subjects about dreams and downfalls, connecting them in ways that ignited a warmth he hadn't felt in ages. How could he have known that their stolen moments, cheesy takeout dinners, sun-drenched walks along the Chicago River would carve a space in his heart? Yet, with every laugh they shared, doubt crept in. Michelle, his ambitious co-worker, always lurking nearby, cast shadows of insecurity. "How could someone like her be with someone like you?" she taunted, words dripping with condescension. Each jab dug deeper, echoing through David's mind, wrestling with the question of worth in a world where success measured in income felt weightier than love. Meanwhile, Emily felt the strain of their worlds colliding. Each time they stepped into David's glamorous apartment, she felt like an imposter in a shimmering dream. A woman with ambition should have felt confident, but her heart raced. Was she enough for him? In moments cloaked in laughter, doubts always loomed. The pressure from society, a relentless tune insisting that value equated to wealth, pushed her to question her place in his life. Their love faced its trial during a charity event for veterans, meant to celebrate their sacrifices but becoming a battlefield for the heart. Emily, embodying fierce conviction, took the mic. Economic inequality is real. We can't pretend it doesn't exist. Her voice rang with authenticity, drawing David's admiration even as it frightened him. Despite his feelings for her, he felt himself pulled between the reality he'd built and the love that made him come alive. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Watching Emily speak, David felt the walls of his carefully constructed life trembling. Admiration wrestled with fear. Could he let go of expectations? The air buzzed with tension. The chasm between who he was and who he wanted to be became painfully clear. Would he embrace the vulnerability that love demanded, risking everything he'd built for a chance at something real? Or retreat back into his gilded cage? As he stared at Emily, passionate, fearless, and questioning, his heart raced with the weight of a decision that could change everything. David felt as if the room was closing in on him. Every word Emily spoke vibrated through him, yet the weight of his life decisions pressed hard against his chest. He glanced around the venue, filled with suits that seemed to shimmer under the low light, contrasting with Emily's straightforward passion. Her honesty shone like a beacon, illuminating the shadows of doubt he couldn't shake. "Can we talk?" he whispered, stepping aside with Emily after her powerful speech, the crowd still buzzing with energy from her words. They stood on the fringes, the chatter of patrons thrilling and frightening all at once. David's hands trembled, as if they were too heavy to lift, battling the impulse to pull her close and shield her from the judgment surfacing in hushed tones around them. Emily's brow furrowed with concern. Was something wrong with what I said? He shook his head, voice low. No, it was incredible. You were incredible. Then what is it? David looked deep into her eyes, searching for a way to convey the turmoil inside. It's just I feel like I'm caught between two worlds. It's scary. Scary can be good, she replied lightly, her smile offering a fragile thread of hope. But behind that smile was a flicker of doubt. You don't have to be anyone but yourself around me, you know. But what if myself isn't enough? The words tumbled out, raw and unchecked. David knew the stakes. He stood atop a skyscraper made of expectations, yet here he was next to a woman who could bring him to his knees. The realization was both exhilarating and terrifying. Emily stepped closer, her intensity radiating warmth that melted through his fear. You're not just a CEO, David. You're a person. Look at what you've built, yes, but look at what you're capable of feeling. This is real. Don't let them convince you otherwise. Her confidence flickered through his doubts like sunlight piercing through clouds. It was then that David realized how much he wanted to embrace that vulnerability she offered. Let South leave this place, he suggested, voice steadier now, buoyed by her presence. Tonight, it's just us. I want to free myself from all this. As they walked out into the cool night air, David tuned into the rhythm of the city surrounding them. The streets pulsed with life, headlights carving through the dark a mirror of the path he was beginning to consider. They found a small park, illuminated by the silver of a street lamp, and David felt his heartbeat synchronize with the sounds of the city. He turned to Emily, words simmering on the edge of his lips. I don't want to hide what we have anymore. What I feel for you isn't just a fleeting moment. It's something much deeper. Her eyes sparkled with something that felt like hope. But you have to be ready to fight for it, David. It won't be easy. There will be voices that try to bring you down. Then let's fight together, he said, grasping her hands, warmth flowing from them into a shared promise. The air felt electric. Emily bit her lip, a nervous smile creeping across her face. Okay. Together then. Just as their fingers intertwined, David noticed a group of familiar faces approaching a clique from the tech world, eyebrows raised and whispers lurking behind false smiles. The reality of their worlds collided like a freight train, hard and unavoidable. David felt a surge of fear, the very voices Emily warned him about were coming right toward them. Stay close, he murmured, tightening his hold on her hand. This was the moment: would he abandon the security of his gilded cage, or would he stand beside the woman who saw him for who he truly was? As the chatter grew louder, colors blurred, and doubt closed in, he knew something pivotal was about to unfold. Emily looked up at him, her trust shining bright in the dim light. Whatever happens, we stand together, right? He took a deep breath, heart pounding. But would he truly be able to stand up for their love? As the first words of the group spilled into the night, he felt the pivotal choice looming closer than ever. What would he choose: the comfort of faded expectations, or the challenge of a love that felt like home? David's breath caught in his throat as the clique approached. Each familiar face was like a ghost from his past, their snickers sharp and slicing through the warm evening. He tightened his grip on Emily's hand, feeling the rush of adrenaline and fear flood his veins. She seemed entirely unaware of the storm brewing, ready to face whatever came their way. Look who it is, Mr. Perfect and his date, one of them sneered, a tall figure with an almost mocking smile. David recognized him as Greg, an old rival who could turn every moment into a spectacle. The others laughed, and the sound echoed harshly, cutting through the intimacy of the park. David glanced sideways at Emily. Was this all worth it? The warmth from earlier was condensing into a knot in his stomach. But then he looked into her eyes full of resolve, unwavering, and a steady reminder of the promise of together. "Hey, Greg," he said, forcing the words out. "Nice to see you." The smile on his face felt like a mask, slipping by the second. "Nice?" Greg's voice was dripping with sarcasm. "Still playing hero for the little people, huh?" He shot a glance at Emily, his expression turning predatory. "And what's your story? Just a chance meeting, or is this another one of his charity cases?" David felt the world shrink around him. He could feel every beat of his heart, a metronome ticking down. "She's not a charity case," he responded, sharper than he intended, but fueled by the urge to raise a shield around Emily. "Oh, is that so?" Greg leaned forward, eyes glinting. "Take it easy, David. Just trying to understand why the CEO would risk his reputation with a girl who let's just say, doesn't fit in with your usual crowd." Emily's grip on his hand tightened ever so slightly. "Maybe I don't need to fit into a crowd," she remarked, her voice steady. The confidence in her words surprised him, igniting something deep within him. "Look at that. You've got some spunk," Greg replied, feigning applause. "But you must realize this isn't your world. He'll leave you behind when it gets tough." David could barely breathe. How could they be so cruel? But as he searched Emily's face, he found not just hurt but determination burning in her gaze. She was ready for this fight, she wouldn't back down. And neither would he. "Give it a rest, Greg," David said, his voice clearer, stronger. "You have no idea what she means to me or what I'm ready to fight for. You've made your choice to mock, but I'm not afraid to choose love." There it was. It felt as vivid as a lightning bolt, illuminating the dark night. The crowd around them fell silent for a moment. He had said the words, the truth, and they hung in the air, filling the emptiness. Emily smiled at him, a mix of pride and gratitude with an edge of fear, perhaps, but far from backing down. They stood together now, a united front against the judgment hanging over them. "Ah, come on, this isn't a fairy tale. You really think you can make this work?" Greg taunted, but something in his tone shifted. There was a hint of doubt mingled with a desire to provoke further. David felt the weight of expectations lifting slightly. Maybe it didn't matter if their story fit into someone else's narrative. They could write their own. "I do believe in fairy tales," David replied, turning to face the group fully. "And I think every day is a chance to create one if you're brave enough. And I'm more than ready to be brave." In that moment, the night felt alive around them, the chirping cicadas, the soft rustle of leaves in the wind, the city breathing in sync with his racing heart. Emily squeezed his hand, and he knew they were forging their own path together. But just as the tension began to dissolve, David's phone buzzed in his pocket. A name flashed across the screen that sent his heart plummeting. The impending reality of his corporate world beckoned him back. "What is it?" Emily asked, sensing the shift. His face paled as he looked at the screen. "It's my father." The chill of uncertainty crept back in. What did this mean for them? Would the past pull him back into a suffocating orbit? As David's heart raced with both fear and determination, he turned to Emily again, uncertainty clouding his thoughts. Could he embrace this love he craved without losing everything he had built? Time felt suspended as he looked into her eyes, searching for an answer. Would they confront his father's call together, or was this a tipping point that could change everything? David's hands trembled as he stared at the phone. The name on the screen felt like a weight, pulling him down into a past he thought he'd escaped. Emily's face morphed from curiosity to concern, and he couldn't help but feel the distance between them stretched just a little. "David?" She prompted again, her voice a soft anchor in the rising tide of his anxiety. He swallowed hard, torn. "It's my dad. He wants to talk. I don't know what about." Emily's expression softened as she squeezed his hand tighter, grounding him. You don't have to answer it right now. Not here. We can just know. David cut her off, shaking his head. He didn't want to back down, especially not now. I have to know what he wants. The doubt flickered in her eyes, but she nodded. Okay. Just remember, whatever it is, I'm right here. Taking a deep breath, he pressed the green button and brought the phone to his ear. The world around him faded. He could still hear the cicadas, but they felt far away, muffled by the pounding of his heart. David. His father's voice boomed through the speaker, authoritative, as always. Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you. I was busy, David replied, keeping his tone steady despite the nerves gnawing at him. He could feel Emily's presence beside him, her calming energy like a shield against the oncoming storm. Busy with what? Board meetings? Review sessions? This better not be about some girl. His father's tone dripped with disapproval. David clenched his jaw. She's not just some girl. Emily means a lot to me. There was a beat of silence before his father scoffed. You don't even know what you're getting into. Things like this isn't you. You have responsibilities to uphold, a reputation to maintain. David's frustration bubbled to the surface. I'm tired of living in some mold you've set for me. I want to be happy, Dad. Can't you understand that? Happy? His father laughed, but there was no joy in it. You think happiness matters when it comes to business? When you start running this company, you'll see the truth. Relationships can. Don't you dare, David interrupted, anger coursing through him. Don't bring business into this. This is my life. In that moment, he realized how deep his father's influence ran, how the splintering of family left scars he was still trying to heal. Emily's steady presence pushed back against the shadows of doubt. She was his light in this darkness. David, listen, his father continued, voice now sharper. You need to put this nonsense behind you. You can't make decisions based on feelings. You have a legacy to think of. With a growl of frustration, he spoke, what legacy? One where I'm miserable just to fit in your vision. I'm trying to build something real here. Advise me, this girl will only hold you back when you need to focus. You know it's true. He ended the call, feeling like a dam had burst inside him. Rage and fear mingled into one swirling storm of emotion. But when he turned to Emily, she looked at him with unyielding support. I'm sorry, she said softly. I know that couldn't have been easy. It wasn't. His voice came out strained, but he pulled her closer, finding solace in her warmth. But I know what I want now. I have to take charge of my own life. She smiled, and it felt like the sun breaking through gray clouds, warming his insides. Then let us face it together. Whatever comes next, we can handle it. You don't have to fight alone. As they stood there, a newfound resolve filled the air. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as partners. The weight of his father's voice still echoed, but it was less suffocating with Emily beside him. Suddenly, David's phone buzzed again, breaking his moment of empowerment. This time, it was a message from the board members, and the words sent a chill down his spine, urgent meeting tomorrow 9 a.m. Don't be late. What is it now? Emily asked, concern creeping into her voice. His heart raced as he realized, this wasn't just about him anymore. Would he confront his past to defend their future? Or would the expectations of both family and business prove insurmountable? David looked into Emily's eyes, determination mixed with fear. Could they withstand the pressure? He had a feeling that tomorrow would be the defining moment of their relationship. Would they still stand side by side when the dust settled? The morning of the meeting arrived far too quickly, draping over David like a heavy fog. He woke up before dawn, the bitter taste of his father's voice still fresh in his mind. The sun had yet to rise, and the quiet of the house felt like a prelude to chaos. David stared at the ceiling, his thoughts racing. What if I disappoint them again? He muttered to himself. But then, the image of Emily laughing at his jokes popped into his head. He could hear her voice, soft and reassuring, "You can do this, David." He squeezed his eyes shut and took a deep breath, drawing strength from that moment. As the light broke through the horizon, he reluctantly turned to his phone. The calendar alert buzzed ominously, "Urgent meeting 9 a.m. The words felt sharper than a knife's edge. He scrolled through messages, pausing at the one Emily had sent late last night, "I believe in you. Just be yourself." Simple but powerful. Before heading out, he grabbed a jacket. The fabric felt foreign on his skin, a reminder of the facades he often donned to deal with the board's expectations. Today, he decided, he was going to show up as he really was. The boardroom was intimidating. Long tables, high-backed chairs, and a wall of glass that overlooked the city. He could already see the others gathered, their faces a mix of intrigue and skepticism, each one waiting for the next corporate power play. As he took his seat, he stole a glance at the head of the table, his father. The old man wore a confident smirk, as if to say, "I knew you'd come crawling back." The energy in the room was palpable, crackling with unspoken judgments and expectations. "Morning, everyone," David said, attempting to inject warmth into his voice. A few heads nodded, but the tension lingered like a thick fog. The meeting began with updates and numbers, but David felt trapped inside a bubble. The weight of his father's gaze pressed down on him. "We need someone who can lead this company into the next decade," his father announced, directing a pointed look at him. "David, tell us about your vision." David's heart raced. His mind raced. What was his vision? He glanced at the board members, all expectant. But still, there was no sight of Emily, and he longed to pull her into his thoughts, her encouragement a lifeline. "I believe," he started, feeling the words form haphazardly in his mind, "I believe we should look beyond profits. We need to connect with our employees, our customers. People are looking for authenticity, not just numbers." The response was immediate. A dull thud of disinterest echoed around the table, but he pressed on. "If we can make our employees feel valued, we can create something lasting. Something that benefits everyone." His father's eyes narrowed. "That's all good, David. But it's idealistic. You need to stick to reality." The disapproval dripped like ice as the words sliced through the air. But David felt his pulse steady with each word spoken. Reality doesn't have to be bleak. It can be about building a community. The thought of Emily's smile fueled him. People come to work not just for a paycheck, but for a sense of belonging. Silence settled, heavy and suffocating. He caught glances from others, a mixture of surprise and doubt cast across their faces. Part of him wanted to retreat, to run away from this discomfort, but another part, the part that Emily nourished, urged him to stand firm. Enough of this touchy-feely nonsense. His father barked, getting to his feet. "We're a company, not a charity." David didn't back down. "Exactly. We're not just a company. We're a community, Dad. And if we ignore that community, we'll lose everything." As he finished, he noticed a shift in the room. A few board members exchanged wary glances, some actually nodding in agreement. The moment felt charged, alive with possibility. But just then, his phone buzzed again. Another message. He glanced down at the screen, mouth drying as he read the name, Emily. His thoughts raced again. Didn't she understand he was in the middle of something critical? But he had to know. As he opened the message, his pulse quickened. What would it say? The meeting seemed to blur around him, his heart hanging on a thread, a hope that this time, he could redefine what a legacy looked like. And then he realized, maybe he wasn't just fighting for himself. Maybe, just maybe, he was fighting for the future he and Emily dreamt of, one where they could truly belong together. The message read, "I know you can do this. Remember, look for the unexpected. He looked up and met his father's icy glare. What would be the unexpected turn today? Would he stand tall, or would he fall into the depths of the past? The decisions weighed on him like 1,000 bricks. And then, as if fate itself willed it, the door swung open. David half expected the disapproving glare from his father, but instead the unexpected strode in, leaving every eye in the room fixated on an incoming stranger who was about to change everything. The air thickened as the door swung open, revealing the unexpected stranger. A young woman, radiant yet uncertain, stepped into the boardroom, her eyes wide with a mix of curiosity and trepidation. She wore a smart blazer, but her posture suggested she wasn't used to such formal settings. Her gaze swept the room, taking in the board members, the long table, and finally landing on David. "Excuse me," she said, her voice clear but shaky. "I'm here for the 9 a.m. meeting. I hope I'm in the right place." David blinked, momentarily thrown off. Who was she? The board members shifted in their seats, exchanging whispers, confused by the disruption. His father's jaw tightened, a flicker of irritation crossing his face. "This is a private meeting. Who let you in?" he demanded, his voice a sharp edge. The woman took a deep breath, her cheeks flushing pink. "I'm sorry. I think I might have gotten the times mixed up. I was told to present a proposal for working with your marketing team." "A proposal?" David interjected, sensing the tension dissolving like mist. His curiosity piqued. "What kind of proposal?" She hesitated, biting her lip as if weighing her next words carefully. "It's about community engagement. Finding ways to connect with people outside the office. I've been working with local nonprofits, and believed there might be potential for collaboration." His heart raced, drawn to her passion, her unguarded honesty. In that moment, mundanity evaporated, making room for a glimmer of hope. Maybe this was the unexpected twist Emily's message alluded to. "Let her speak," David said, rising to his feet, surprising even himself. "I'd like to hear this." His father shot him a warning glance, but David continued, "We were just discussing how to connect authentically with our community. Maybe her perspective could add value." Murmurs rippled around the table, and a few board members visibly softened, intrigued rather than annoyed. The stranger looked relieved, her shoulders relaxing slightly as she took center stage, gathering herself. "Thank you," she said, visibly grateful. "I believe that a company isn't just the sum of its products. It's about the people it serves, the deeper relationships it fosters in the community." David found his pulse quickening as she spoke. Her sincerity was infectious, she radiated a warmth that caught everyone off guard. The boardroom atmosphere shifted, a current of interest flowing in. She dove into her ideas, painting pictures of vibrant community events and partnerships that would not only raise the company's profile but also uplift those around them. Her words echoed in David's heart, affirming everything he had just fought for in the meeting. As she wrapped up her presentation, the tension that had gripped the room loosened its hold. Even his father sat silently, arms crossed, but the glint of curiosity had replaced disdain. "That's quite an innovative proposal," one board member noted, leaning forward, intrigued. "We could consider a pilot project." David's chest swelled with pride, sensing the gravity of the moment. It was not just that the proposal was gaining traction. It was that this stranger, with her raw honesty and passion, was uncovering the very essence of what he had been striving to communicate. Before he could bask in the moment, his father interrupted, voice colder than ever. "What's your name?" "Lila," she replied, her confidence wavering but her eyes shining bright. "Lila," his father repeated, disdainful. "What makes you think you could possibly shake the foundation of this company with your little community ideas?" The room held its breath. David's heart sputtered, an urge to protect Lila rising within him. But before he could respond, she straightened her back, her eyes locking onto his father's. "Because," she stated firmly, "people matter. Business isn't just about numbers, it's about lives. If you want to lose everything, keep treating it like a game. But if you want to thrive, you have to connect. A silence fell again, but this time, there was an electricity in the air. The board members were looking at each other, some searching their own spirits while weighing her words. David felt an exhilarating blend of dread and anticipation. Lila was daring to challenge what had always been the unchallenged status quo. His heart pounded. This was the unexpected, and it was reshaping the entire conversation. Before David could respond, the door opened once more, and another figure stepped into the room, a familiar face. Emily's expression was a blend of surprise and concern. "What is going on?" she asked. David's thoughts spiraled. Would they embrace this new direction, or would they shut it down like every other time? And how would he navigate the shifting dynamics now that both Lila and Emily were present? The stakes had just escalated. What did I just walk into? Emily's wide eyes shifted from David to Lila. His heart raced as he realized this meeting was about to become much more than just business. It was a pivotal moment that could change everything he thought he wanted. And as uncertainty loomed larger than ever, one question crystallized in his mind: could collaboration open a door to a new future that they all could share? David glanced at Emily, searching her expression for any hint of judgment or support. The last thing he needed was to feel doubly cornered, first by his father and then by the added pressure of her presence. Her lips were pressed tight as she processed the scene unfolding. "This is Lila," he managed, trying to keep his voice steady. "She has an idea for community engagement that could align with our marketing efforts." Emily's gaze softened as she took in Lila's composed demeanor. "I see," she responded, her voice calm but laced with curiosity. "That sounds interesting. Can you tell us more?" With a renewed sense of purpose, Lila stepped forward, her innate warmth wrapping around the room like a soft blanket. "Absolutely. I believe we have an opportunity to build platforms for local artists and organizations, create events that give back to the community while highlighting the values of this company. It's about giving a voice to those who often feel unheard." David felt a spark of hope igniting in his chest. Here was this woman, with her heart on her sleeve, bravely challenging the outdated narrative his father and the board had clung to. The board members shifted in their chairs, interest peaked. "What kind of events?" one asked, leaning in closer. David noticed the spark of interest shifting towards excitement amongst the others. "It could be anything: a summer festival, charity drives, art fairs," Lila explained, her enthusiasm contagious. "The point is connection. We start with our community, making it visible and vibrant. It's about relationships, not just bottom lines." His father remained silent, but David noticed his fingers tapping against his armrest, a telltale sign of rising tension. As Lila continued, weaving bold visions of community cohesion, David caught Emily's eye. She nodded slightly, and he felt a warm rush of gratitude. It reassured him he wasn't entirely alone in this moment. "Lila," she said, "how do you see our brand fitting into this vision? Couldn't this be perceived as a diversion from what we're focused on?" Lila paused, her eyes glimmering with conviction. "That's the beauty of it. When a brand aligns with the community, it doesn't divert attention, it enhances it. People connect with companies that care about their lives, and that relationship fosters loyalty and respect." An older board member, who had remained quiet until then, finally spoke up. "How do you propose we start?" "It sounds ambitious. Let us pilot a community event," Lila proposed, her voice gaining strength. "We could partner with a local nonprofit. Win-win. It brings together the company and community, showing we're invested in being part of something larger." David felt his heartbeat sync with the hum of excitement building in the room. Other board members were nodding, warmed by the infectious energy Lila radiated. This might actually work. But then, his father's voice cut through the hopeful chatter, icy and condescending. "And what happens when it flops? Your little proposal could be an expensive distraction." "Unless," David replied, stepping forward and redirecting the conversation, "it doesn't flop at all. If we can engage our community, even if just in small ways, we open up new conversations both with them and about who we are. Suddenly caught in the ripple of voices, Lila's unwavering passion mixed with David's determination, everyone's eyes turned towards his father. The tension in the room felt palpable, as he wrestled with the weight of tradition versus the throbbing heartbeat of progress. Through that charged silence, David dared to hope. Perhaps this was the moment where everything could shift. And then, without any hesitation, Lila added, "I believe it could lead to far greater outcomes than anyone imagines. If we win their hearts, we have a loyal community advocating for us." As she spoke, David met Emily's gaze. He could sense her unwavering support. The connection between them felt electric, intertwined in this shared mission. Yet, out of nowhere, a sudden sense of dread washed over him. What would the others decide today? His father's steely glare was still fixed on Lila. Would he allow the winds of change to blow? With the room holding its breath, all it took was that one final word from his father to set them on an entirely new course. "You're right," he eventually said, breaking the silence, "but let us not lose sight of what we really stand for." David's stomach twisted. Would his father's notion of what they stand for be a bridge or a barrier? As that question echoed in his mind, he knew one thing: the closure of one door could ignite another. What lay ahead was still a mystery, leaving him with the haunting thought: was this the beginning, or the end, of something much more than a business proposal? David searched his father's eyes, hoping for a hint of support or at least understanding. Was this really the moment they'd turn away from rigid tradition? The tension hung thick in the air, palpable enough to almost touch. Lila stood tall, unyielding, even as she faced the possible rejection from the man who held the power to quash her dreams. Emily's eyes shifted between them, her brows slightly furrowed. "Maybe, though, we can have a discussion about what that means. What does what we stand for look like?" Her voice was steady, yet David could sense the underlying nervousness. After a moment, his father leaned back in his chair, assessing the room. "What we stand for is stability. Growth is vital to our investors, and this community engagement idea, while noble, could signal complacency." David felt a rush of frustration. Stability. It was a word he had grown tired of. But isn't there a way for us to grow that keeps our values intact? Aren't we all tired of the same animal spitting out the same outcomes? Our brand should be alive, not just a sticker on a letterhead. His words hung in the air, drawing everyone's attention back to him. There was a flicker of hope as some board members exchanged glances, the gears visibly turning in their heads. Could this really be the turning point? Lila chimed in again, passionate as ever. "Imagine using part of our marketing budget to host artistic events. We introduce a festival that brings families together, showcases local musicians, creates buzz. The community will appreciate it. They will want to support us because we showed up for them." A younger board member nodded, his enthusiasm contagious. "It could position us as a leader in corporate responsibility. It's what people want from companies these days." David's heart raced. Maybe the pushback was fading. What if we started small? Just one event. If it doesn't pan out, we can scale back, he offered, throwing everything he had into the suggestion. His father's face was still austere, hardened by years of cautious decisions. But David held on to that faint glimmer of possibility. Lila stood beside him, her hand lifting nervously to her throat, a small gesture, but it felt like a lifeline. Then, a voice broke through the fog of uncertainty. One of the more seasoned board members, a woman known for her keen intuition and wisdom, chimed in. "Perhaps we can explore this further, gather metrics, survey the communities. There's no harm in testing the waters." A heavy silence settled in once more, spiraling into awkward moments of distant coughing and creaking chairs. And then, finally, David's father cleared his throat, leaning forward. "All right," he said slowly, his voice resolute, "I'm willing to entertain this, but only under strict parameters. If it looks like we're wading into unclear waters, I'll pull the plug." David's stomach flipped, a mix of relief and unease. This was the tiniest shift, but it was something. Nods of approval rippled around the room, and he couldn't help but lock eyes with Emily. She beamed at him, her confidence radiating warmth. It felt like a spark in a fuse. As Lila proposed brainstorming sessions to flesh out ideas for the pilot event, David could feel a rush of optimism flowing through the room. This wasn't just a business meeting anymore, it felt like a melting pot of ideas. But as the discussion began to thrive, David couldn't shake the feeling that this was merely the calm before the storm. What would happen when reality hit? Would they champion change in the face of adversity or retreat back into their safe shells? As the chatter continued, his heart raced, wondering what the next steps would demand from him. Was he prepared for the challenges ahead? The unknown loomed large, wrapping around the room as discussions swirled like leaves in an autumn breeze. Would this venture into the community lead to connections deeper than they dared to dream? Or would it show them how fragile their hopes truly were? The meeting wrapped up with a buzz of excitement. Ideas flowed like wine, and laughter filled the air, lifting the weight that had settled earlier. David couldn't help but soak it all in, every contagious smile and flicker of inspiration igniting a fire in his chest. It felt like something significant had shifted, but deep down, doubt still danced in the corners of his mind. As people began to rise from their chairs, David cornered Lila. "Do you really think the board will follow through? Or will they just let it fizzle out?" Lila's eyes sparkled with determination. "They can't ignore what we've just ignited. But we need to keep the momentum going. We have to push." David nodded slowly, feeling her passion stir something within him. "Right. No slacking then." Just then, Emily approached them, her clipboard tucked closely under her arm. "I can help organize everything. We can create surveys, start a social media buzz. Let's gather some community input already." The excitement was palpable. David felt warmth spread across his chest as he watched the two women brainstorm effortlessly, like a duo of rockets launching into the sky. He was thrilled to see Lila so immersed in the project. This was more than just work for her, it felt like a purpose. But outside those walls, the skies were darkening. As they made their way out of the boardroom, a cold breeze swept through the lobby, sending a shiver down David's spine. He rubbed his hands together, capturing remnants of warmth as the walls echoed with the fading energy of the meeting. Just as he opened his car door, his phone vibrated violently in his pocket. Pulling it out, he could hardly believe the message flashing across the screen. It was from his father. "We need to talk. Now." David's heart raced. The tense feel of the boardroom had not fully settled. "I'll catch you guys later," he said quickly to Lila and Emily. He drove back to the office, each street sign blurring past as he grappled with confusion. What could it be? Did his father want to revoke the tentative plan? The office loomed ahead, a looming fortress filled with shadows. He parked and stepped inside, finding his father waiting in his office. The air was heavy with anticipation. David stepped into the room, feeling the weight of gravity shift dramatically. It was just them again. "Sit," his father commanded, his voice cold and urgent. David took a seat, instinctively leaning in. "What is it?" "I'm concerned about the direction this company might take. There's too much at stake," his father said, the lines on his face deeper than he remembered. "You're young, inexperienced. What if you fail?" David's heart thudded. "I've got the support of the board and Lila and Emily. We can do this together." "That's not enough," his father shot back. "What will we say to our longtime investors? Investors expect control and clear direction. This community approach could backfire, ruin everything relevant to our family's legacy." David felt his breath hitch. The thought of failing, not just himself but everyone that believed in their vision, pushed him to the edge. But what legacy are we really preserving? One built on sameness? Silence engulfed the room, heavy and suffocating. His father's expression softened for a brief moment, showing just a hint of vulnerability. David grasped that this was a moment fraught with uncertainty for them both. "Your dreams matter," his father finally replied, but there was an edge of protectiveness in his tone that stung. "But tradition cannot be so easily cast aside. I know we can balance both. There's got to be a way." As the words slipped out, they felt like a promise. But as David exited his father's office, that promise sat heavy on his shoulders. Tension and fear clawed at him. The knowledge that this approach to growth wouldn't just change the company, it could very well change their family dynamic too. He glanced over at the meeting room, where laughter had once echoed, and uncertainty gnawed at him. Could he truly stand firm in his convictions? Would he have the courage to navigate the complexities of both business and family? Questions rolled around like thunderclouds in his mind, and he quietly wondered what sacrifices would be demanded of him along the way. Would he be able to rise above, or would he become ensnared by the very legacy he sought to reshape? As David walked into the chill of evening air, the weight of the unknown loomed larger than ever. What decision would he make next that could change everything? The next day arrived with a fierce determination. David woke up before dawn, the urgency of yesterday still coursing through him. He could hear the city stirring to life outside his window, cars beginning to hum, the sun peeking through the clouds like hope breaking. He took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the clarity he felt after wrestling with his father's words. He needed to fight for his vision, for himself, for Emily, and for Lila. Today, he would show up as his true self, dispelling the shadows of expectations. The office buzzed with energy as he arrived, but it was more than just the usual office chatter. Lila was already at her desk, reviewing proposals, while Emily was brainstorming social media strategies with a small team. They both looked up, their faces lighting up when they saw him walk in. "Big day," Lila said, grinning. "Ready to shake things up?" "More than ready," he replied, the weight of yesterday's doubt lifting slightly. "Let us do this." He joined them, the three of them working seamlessly as they exchanged ideas, laughter, and grimaces over challenges. David felt alive, surrounded by their enthusiasm. Ideas blossomed like flowers in spring, vibrant and full of potential. And then, as they gathered for a midday meeting with the board, David felt the anxiety creeping back in. But he quickly pushed it away. Today was about bringing their passion to the forefront. As the meeting commenced, David could feel the anticipation in the room. He sat at the head of the long table, flanked by Emily and Lila, both radiating support and confidence. Then, he spoke. "I want to address our community engagement initiatives and our vision to connect with real people, not just investors. Let us turn our resources into support for our community," he declared, his voice steady and resolute. "We're looking at creating something genuine, something that uplifts lives." His gaze met his father's, and despite the tension, he felt a spark of connection. His father's lips pressed into a thin line, but there was no immediate backlash. The board members shifted in their seats, some intrigued, some skeptical. Lila stood alongside him, her voice ringing clear, punctuated with sincerity. "Success can't only be defined by profit margins. It's about making a true impact. We'll bring more people into the fold, fostering loyalty and engagement." As she spoke, something began to shift in the room. He could see board members exchanging glances, the edges of doubt beginning to soften. David felt the energy swell, a wave of collective curiosity. Emily added, "This isn't just about marketing. We're talking about real relationships. Imagine what we could achieve by hosting community events, partnerships that celebrate and elevate our neighborhood. And if it all falls apart?" His father challenged, though there was a softness in his tone that felt different this time. "Then we learn and adapt," David responded, the conviction growing in his chest. "We owe it to ourselves to give it a shot." The air in the room shifted again, an undercurrent of momentum building. David saw how they were drawing together, committed to exploring new territory. He felt the weight of doubt lifting, exposing a wellspring of inspiration. After a tense moment, a board member chimed in. "All right, let's give it a chance. We can start with a pilot program, see what we can achieve." The room erupted into agreement, and David felt every pulse of victory resonate within him. They were on the cusp of transformation, both for the company and himself. After the meeting wrapped up, David breathed a sigh of relief. Lila and Emily clapped him on the back, their smiles infectious. "You did it," Lila said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Together, David insisted, unable to hide his grin. The celebration of their small victory continued into the evening, and later that night, David stood at his kitchen window, looking out over the glowing city. He thought of the path he had walked to get here, the blind dates, the loneliness, the fear of vulnerability. And then there was Emily, with the laughter. That filled him up like a warm embrace, and Lila, who pushed him to face his truths, igniting every bit of passion within him. A text pinged on his phone. It was Emily. "Tonight was amazing. Can't wait for our next steps. Together, right?" David grinned, responding with a simple "always." He felt a thrill surge within him. All those worries began to fade away. This was just the beginning. With every choice he made, he was forging a new legacy, one rooted in genuine connection, one that included love, community, and an open heart. As he stepped away from the window, he felt a lightness in his chest, a profound shift in the air surrounding him. Through the trials, he had discovered what truly mattered. His phone buzzed again, and this time it was Lila. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we start planning that festival. A new era has arrived." He smiled, excited for what lay ahead. They would face the unknown together, rumble through doubts, face adversity, but now they were armed with love, hope, and belief. And in that moment, David knew, he was finally home. If you love this emotional journey, you need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that will touch your heart. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. I want to hear from you. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support means the world.